Hello, Professor Jane here. We're on our sixth lesson out of Love and Prophecy from Dan McCollum. And today's lesson is called Prophecy is Not Self-Seeking. Prophecy is never centered on self. It should always be centered on the person being ministered to and God's great love for them. In any prophetic appointment and in daily life, I am created to be an expression of God's love. Two vital components of love are compassion and mercy. I have learned through the years that there is a huge difference between compassion and mercy that is important to the subject of prophecy. Mercy moves down from a higher position to meet someone in their pain or suffering. Compassion lifts a person up from a low position to reveal God's best in the situation. Mercy brought God down from his throne in heaven to live as a human in the earth, and compassion lifted man out of his fallen earth state to partake of the divine nature and seat him in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. We are seated with Christ in heavenly places. Here is how the difference applies to prophecy. In the past, I often let my mercy mix with my prophetic words. I would let what I personally felt for the person influence what I spoke over them prophetically. Because God speaks to my heart and the emotions were flowing from my heart, I confused my emotions as the voice of God. I unknowingly spoke my heart over them as if it was a word from the Lord. Something for us to be cautious about. How do you prevent your emotions influencing the prophetic word? This is where protocol is helpful. We must be willing to recuse ourselves when asked to prophesy in a place where we have preconceived ideas or a previous heart connection with the receiver. Recuse yourself. Recuse is a judicial term for when a judge, prosecutor, or juror is deemed unqualified to perform legal duties because of a potential conflict of interest or a lack of impartiality. I think this term can serve as a great protocol tool for the prophetic. Friends or people in my congregation often ask me for a prophetic word when they are thinking about moving or changing jobs. Here is my problem. If the change in direction will take them away from our community, then I don't in my heart want them to move. I truly desire what is best for that person, but I'm conflicted through my own self-interest. Can I hear through my own opinion? Of course I can. But it is tricky dividing between your soul and your spirit. It's better to recuse myself. Chances are that if I know this person well, I already have a personal opinion on the situation they are inquiring about. In these cases, I might be tempted to prophesy something that is colored with my own opinions or self-interest. I can't give purely impartial input. God's perceptions often come to the heart, but the heart is also the realm of my soul. It's easy to think that an impression in my heart is the voice of God, since that is a familiar meeting place for us. We train our team members to expect that their impressions are most likely from God because we have surrendered our lives to Him. Yet love's protocol trumps our principle. I believe in extracting myself from these types of prophetic requests. If someone asks me for a prophetic word where I have a vested interest in the outcome, then it is my policy to reply, I think I'm too close to this situation to be objective. I would be happy to give you my counsel and my prayers, but I don't think I can give you a clean prophetic word on this issue. I don't leave them without prophetic input. I try to find someone who doesn't know them as well to give them a more directional word. I have personally witnessed meetings where people have prophesied from the pulpit that a certain person in the congregation was to leave what they were doing and to come to be a part of their business or ministry. That's not right. The speaker has a personal interest in the outcome, and they are using their position and authority from the pulpit to influence the course of another person's life. It is a violation of love's protocol. The speaker should have gone to the senior leader first and shared what they were sensing. Then the speaker should talk to the person individually and not in front of the whole crowd. The same protocol is true in business or any line of employment. You don't use the prophetic to draw someone away to your business out of self-interest. That is manipulation. Using the spiritual realm to control people for your personal benefit can be a form of witchcraft. This is where people have gone wrong in the past with directive prophetic words. I shared in my book, Prophetic Company, about my mother's friend who received a prophecy about whom she should marry. Wanting to please God, she married this man whom she did not love or choose. The marriage failed and she lived the rest of her life alone. If someone tells you in a prophetic word that you are supposed to marry them, run for your life because prophecy is not self-seeking. A good intention is not prophetic. Sometimes we can violate this protocol through a good intention. My heart beats for people who long to be married or long to have a baby. I love them so much and want them to have the desires of their hearts. In my earlier days, I would sometimes give a prophetic encouragement along the lines of, I feel like your mate is coming. Those words never turned out well for either of us. For me, they were embarrassingly unfulfilled. For the receiver, it was much worse. The receiver had to wrestle with hope deferred, their confidence in the prophetic, and sometimes their trust in God Himself. That's why we must be so careful when self-interest or preconceived ideas are involved. It was too difficult to separate what I desired for them and what God was actually saying. My want is a wish. My opinions are better expressed as a prayer or a blessing. My desires should not shape my prophetic words because prophecy is not self-seeking. Love's protocol requires me to refrain from giving directional words when I have a personal connection to the outcome. Prophetic projection. Another way that self can enter a prophetic word is when we project what we are going through onto someone else. In my book, Prophetic Company, I share the story about a lovely team member who prophesied over my wife and me that we would be given a house debt-free. The woman is a powerful lady of prayer and worship who possesses a true prophetic gift. The idea of a debt-free house resonated with the heart of my wife and me, since that had been a dream of ours for many years. A few months went by and I was doing a little quality control inspection, just listening in on our team members as they ministered prophetically to people. I overheard the same lady giving a similar word to someone else. That's interesting, I thought. I thought to myself, but prophetic words are not exclusive. I've seen people grab a hold of the grace that was on someone else's word and apply it to their own lives in much the same way that we would do with scriptures that were not exclusively written to us or our situation. I don't believe that giving two people a similar word is an abuse of prophecy. Perhaps the same grace was resting on these folks, so I dismissed it and I moved on. I want to stop there for just a minute and share that um, the one of the prophets that we were listening to many years ago said that if you like the prophetic word that someone else is receiving, God is not a respecter of persons, and you also can grab hold of that word and apply it to your life. And my husband did just that. We were praying for a gentleman who needed knee surgery, and the man just asked that the doctors would have success and his surgery would be successful. But my husband thought, wait a minute, I need my knee fixed, but I don't want to have surgery. So, Lord, I'm going to claim this as a prophetic word to me that you will just heal my knee. And that night, his knee was healed. So, it's not um, uncommon for someone to grab hold of another's prophetic word, and God honors your faith. So, I believe that that's perfectly fine. Let's go on. Later, I heard the lovely lady giving the same type of word to a different person. Okay, I responded, we can't all be getting free houses. God loves realtors too. He believes in selling houses, not just in giving them away. I pulled the woman aside later and talked about my observation of free house words. In conversation, I discovered that her husband of 30 some years had left her, and she was in a different position with her finances and her home. She was longing for a debt-free house and kept seeing the possibility on other people from the place of her own need and longing. That's not prophecy, that's projection. Projection is the forecast of a future situation based upon knowledge of a present one. Prophetic projection, in a negative sense, is when we overlay our own circumstances, good or bad, over someone else's life or situation. Chris Valentin, who's a prophet in Redding, California, compares it to seeing the world and others through scratches or obstructions on the lens of your glasses. Your personal situations, experiences, and ideas affect how you see. None of us are immune to that, but we can be aware when we are going through something and be careful not to project our stuff onto someone else, even if it is well intentioned. Prophecy comes from God's love. It's easy to think a word that comes from my love for the person must be a prophetic word delivered in love. As in the case above, couldn't that be considered doing unto others as you would have them do unto you? That's the law of love, and we are to prophesy from love. But prophecy must come from God's love, for that person, not just mine. I must be mature enough in the prophetic to know the difference, or I will hurt people. Oh, I can hurt people with my wishes shaped as prophecies. Prophecies that are not fulfilled, shattered hopes and dreams, and they damage faith. We cause people to despise and disbelieve prophetic words when we prophesy from the desires of our own soul, even if the words are well intentioned. Practice maturity and true love in this matter. Don't speak into issues where you have a strong self-interest or preconceived idea. Recuse yourself from prophetic ministry when you have self-interest or when the situation might mirror too closely to your own. At the very least, give a strong disclaimer admitting how your word might be colored by your own desire for them. Request that the receiver judge more carefully. Healthy prophetic ministry avoids any area that is self-seeking because prophecy does not seek its own. And our prophetic protocol number 6, the focus of the prophetic is God's great love for the person we are ministering to. We recuse ourselves from situations where we have a strong soul connection or a vested interest in the outcome. We don't prophesy when our words are contaminated with self-interest. Prophecy is not self-seeking. Have a great day. We'll see you next class.